got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your head. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That Bello bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports. It is Saturday, May 30th. 1-1 on the show yesterday. Not happy about it, really. The over hit in Atlanta and Cincinnati. Fairly easy with that one. Atlanta did most of the damage, which is kind of what I thought would be the case. They did most of the work to get that over. 8-3 win there. The first 5 under Minnesota-Pittsburgh was completely dead. Both starting pitchers did better than it looks as far as the amount of runs that they allowed. Like, they both were getting strikeouts and whatever. It was just, I don't know, it was very weird. I think they both got a little bit unlucky. That was still, it was bad. It was the wrong play. I think the majority of the remainder of the game was lower scoring than that, too. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. And I had some of my other opinions be correct, so that tends to always be the case. I want to have these ones be my best, but you know, you have to figure out how to select them, and it's not that easy. We've hit a bit of a lull, but a 1-1 day is a very small loss, so whatever. Especially, I think both of those plays, I found them at reduced juice. We'll move on to today. I'm going to have 2 baseball plays. One is a side, one is a total. They're both first 5, and I'm going to give out a play in the NBA game. But, I mean, you probably already knew that. You know what I do, so everybody probably already knows what I'm doing in the NBA. Garrett, what's up? Yeah, Canes, I mean, they're the home favorite in the final. The one thing you have to be worried about is they have not been here recently, so Vegas has more recent experience. It seems to be seriously overperforming. Like, Vegas is overperforming. Carolina's the better team, but you do have to worry about the experience coming into play there. Although Vegas has been a bad road team, though, pretty much. Dirty Sock, what's up? The over in that game, it landed, 7? I don't know. I mean, how many empty net goals happened in that game? I don't think I would have gone over that just because, like, I don't know, Montreal just has put up no offense in that series, and Carolina tends to play low-scoring games. Yes, thank you. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? All right. I'm going to try to get through all this, man. I'm using Wager Talk's odds screen again. They updated their screen here. It's pretty much the same as it was, though, but we don't have the total percentages right now, so I hope they fix that, but I just like this view better, so that's what I'm using. The first baseball game is Detroit and Chicago, the White Sox. White Sox won the game yesterday 4-3. I thought Detroit had a decent shot at that game, which turned out to be correct, but the White Sox won. White Sox used 4 relief pitchers, it looks like here. I wouldn't necessarily trust this page right now, though, because this page is showing a lot of teams as not having used any relief pitchers, which is not true. Detroit used 3, according to this. Detroit has the slightly less bad bullpen. They're ranked 22nd. The White Sox are 24th. Wouldn't really want to trust either, though. The White Sox are the better offense. They're ranked 6th. Detroit has really gone in the tank at 26th. Not good things going on for Detroit, but they do have Framber Valdez on the mound. Can he get them a win? Maybe. He's got a 4.28 ERA, 1.33 whip. I know it's not that good. I think he is a little bit better than those numbers might suggest. He is pretty good on the road, 3.83 road ERA. He had that suspension, came back, had a good start. His next start wasn't really that good. Bounced back again with a good start against Baltimore on the road in his most recent start. Although Detroit has lost his last 4 games, but they have put up 3 or fewer runs in every one of those, so it's not entirely his fault. Numbers against the White Sox are bad, though. In 53 at-bats, 377 average allowed, 901 OPS, 8.3 strikeout walk ratio. So this does not look like the best matchup for him here. He will be going up against Anthony Kay, who I never trust guys like this, man, who are in their 30s and then all of a sudden it looks like they're pitching well. I'm like, I just don't necessarily buy it. But he's been doing pretty well recently. He's got a 3.96 ERA on the season, which obviously you can't really argue with that. Well, you can because his whip is 1.39, but I mean, his ERA is still pretty good. His whip, 1.39, not really that good. He's good at home, though, 3.21 ERA. And this month, he's been pretty good. He's got a sub-2 ERA this month, 22 hits allowed in 27 and a third innings. White Sox have won 4 starts of his in a row. He's going 5+ innings in every one of them, 24 strikeouts, 9 walks, 2 or fewer earned runs allowed in every outing. This is pretty good, except the offenses that he faced here were not that good. Minnesota, Seattle, Kansas City, Seattle, and San Diego. But then again, of course, Detroit is also not good. So he might do well here. His season numbers, though, his strikeout rate is definitely low. His walk rate is too high, but it's been better this month, so he is improving. And he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning on the season, which is good. Detroit has basically never seen him. Only Jahmai Jones has ever faced him. And he does have a 3-run double off of him in that one at bat. But that being said, yeah, I think based on the pitching matchup, I probably lean White Sox here. I mean, you could go first 5 innings, I guess, if you really want to take their bullpen out of it, because Detroit's is, I guess, a little bit better. I don't even know if at this point you even need to do that. But the money is disagreeing, and that's kind of the issue I have here. Like I mentioned yesterday, the odds makers are not throwing money away. So, like, the White Sox are an underdog here, and they're getting all the public action. 81% of the tickets. Oh, we see the total percentages starting to come in. 70% of the cash on the White Sox. Detroit's favored at about -120, and why? Well, the odds makers are telling you they think Detroit's not as bad as their record looks. They think Valdez is the better of these 2 pitchers, and like career-wise, yeah, I would agree Valdez is the better pitcher, but you look at those matchup numbers, I don't know, man. I think I would probably lean White Sox here slightly, but I'm probably going to wind up being wrong about that, so that is not going to be a play for me. And again, you know I always warn about these very public underdogs. You really do not want to be on a team like that. So, yeah, I'll pass that game. 1 empty net goal last night. Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. Minnesota and Pittsburgh, I will not be getting involved in this game either. Pittsburgh got the win 6-5 yesterday, and the game was 5-4 after 5 innings, so yay for my play, I guess. I think this game went into extra innings as well. There were a lot of extra inning games yesterday. No, it did not. I thought that was one of them, but it was not. The bullpens did see some usage, although this site says that that's not the case, but I can tell you both bullpens did see action. They both used, I think, a few relief pitchers, so I think still Pittsburgh is the better bullpen. They probably do have the bullpen edge here anyway. They're ranked 17th in bullpen here. This is arranged by whip. Minnesota, not good, 27th, so can never really trust their bullpen, even though they actually weren't that bad yesterday, and they've actually been okay recently. Pittsburgh has the better offense as well. They're ranked 9th. Minnesota is 16th. Pittsburgh is the better team, which is why they're favored, and I could see arguments they have the better starting pitcher here, too. Both of these starting pitchers are actually pitching pretty well this season. Bailey Ober is pitching for the Twins. 3.29 ERA, 1.1 whip. Pretty good. Ober, as I always point out, though, he seems so streaky to me, where he'll have numbers like this, and I'm like, yeah, he's a good pitcher. And then he'll go on these streaks where he's absolutely abysmal, and I'm like, what is going on here? But this season has been good. However, he's not good on the road. 6.3 road ERA. That might be a problem because Pittsburgh is a good offense at home. They're one of the best home offenses. Ober and the Twins have won his last 3 starts. He's pitching decently this month, 14-4 strikeout walk ratio, but not a lot of strikeouts there. 24 innings, 21 hits allowed is not that bad either. He's got a low strikeout rate, so he seems to have changed what he's doing, but he has a low hit rate on the season as well. His walk rate is fine. It's just it doesn't look good because his strikeout rate is low, but he's been pretty effective basically all year. He hasn't allowed more than 5 earned runs in any start, but that was 1 on the road at Washington. Seemed a little bit unlucky, really, in that game. And other than that, he's allowed 4 or fewer in every other game. Numbers against Pittsburgh, though, are not good, but it is a small sample size of 15 at-bats, but a 400 average allowed, 971 OPS. That's not good. So Ober might, there are indications he might struggle here. Bad matchup numbers, bad on the road. Mitch Keller is pitching for Pittsburgh. He's been pretty good, 3.64 ERA, 1.07 whip. He's not as good at home, but his home road splits are less significant than Ober's. He's got a 4.04 home ERA. He's pitched decently this month as well. Strikeout rate not really that high, 21 strikeouts, 8 walks. A lot of that because he had 3 in his last outing, but it was a 6-inning, 1-run performance against Toronto, so it was still a good outing, although Toronto's not a good offense. One concern might be he threw over 100 pitches, but he's a veteran. He did do that against Cincinnati earlier in the month, and he was fine in the next game as well in a tough pitching environment at Arizona, so I'm not too concerned by that. He's allowed well below 1 hit per inning this month as well, 22 hits in 30 1/3 innings. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning by a lot on the season. His walk rate's not really that high. His strikeout rate is low, though. He's not a strikeout pitcher. So these pitchers are actually kind of similar in a way. Keller does not have good numbers against Minnesota either. In 49 at-bats, 327 average, 858 OPS, 7-5 strikeout walk ratios. This is one of those games where I'm usually not going to get involved because both pitchers have been pretty good. I kind of like both of them to some extent, but then you look at the matchup numbers, and they both have bad matchup numbers. So it's like, what do you do with this game, right? Speaking of which, where the hell is this game? Where's the interleague? What? Dude, I don't know why. Pregame needs to fix their shit. What is all this shit? They lumped in all this other shit into the American League here. I don't know what any of this fucking shit is. What is this? Are these fights? I don't know who these people are. I don't know what that shit is. But yeah, the interleague is way down here. Anyway, we don't see any percentages on this. Pittsburgh is a favorite. Rightfully so. They are the better team. Minus 140 or so here. Totals at 8.5. I mean, if you go with the fact that these pitchers don't match up well, you could, I guess I could see an argument for another over here in this game. And, you know, the bullpens are not trustworthy, so that does help with the over. I wouldn't really disagree with that. I mean, there's a decent chance at least one of those pitchers will struggle here. I think it's more likely to be Ober, though, because he's not good on the road. So I would slightly lean towards Pittsburgh as well, as they are the better team. I think they win all 3 phases of this matchup, in my opinion, at least slightly. But I don't have a strong opinion on that. Charles, what's up? Gerald, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. 3-0. I'm going to try. This next game up almost made my card, so I will point that out. San Diego at Washington. This was very close to being a play for me. Washington returned home yesterday from the road, and they lost 7-5. So, you know, I talk about when a team returns home from the road, a lot of times they struggle. They get distracted, and a lot of times if they have a bad game, they'll play better in the next game. But it was a close game, so it doesn't look like they didn't have any effort. You know what I mean? They didn't get embarrassed or anything. They lost 7-5, so it was a close game. So even though generally, yes, that second game back home after a loss is a good spot, but it looks like they did put in a big effort yesterday. San Diego is the better pitching team here, and Washington is the better hitting team, so you can kind of look at the game that way. Washington used 4 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. San Diego used 5, including Mason Miller, but he'd been off for so long. I guess it's maybe not out of the question. They might use him again if they really need to. Washington is a bad bullpen. Oh, wait, I'm looking at hitting here. No, I'm not. Washington's 25th in bullpen. That's obviously not good. San Diego's 4th, and I believe they might have the best bullpen ERA right now, where I've been saying all year they're like one of the top bullpens, if not the top, just like last year. So there's a big bullpen edge, even though it's a little bit less, I guess, just given that San Diego used a lot of their relief pitchers yesterday, but still bullpen edge goes to them. Offense goes to Nationals, the Nationals, 4th. In offense, San Diego 29th. Huge difference there. San Diego really struggling offensively. But Washington, they allow a lot of offense to opposing offenses at home. So, I mean, San Diego did put up 7 runs in yesterday's game. Every team can hit, basically, against Washington at Washington. That's kind of the problem I have with my opinion in this game, which is I like the first 5 under in this game. I like the starting pitchers. Michael King is pitching for the Padres. He's got a 2.76 ERA, 1.15 whip. He's been pretty much the same home and away. He did struggle in his last outing, though, so that worries me. It was against the A's. They're a good offense. He didn't even make it 4 innings. He allowed 4 runs, walked 4 guys. That's bad. The walks continue to be a problem for King, but usually he just overcomes it anyway because he doesn't allow a lot of hits. Usually strikes out a good amount of guys as well. And that's been the case all season. Very low hit rate. Walk rate is definitely too high, though, but the strikeout rate is also really good. He's allowed no more than 4 earned runs in any outing, and he's allowed 2 or fewer in all but 3 outings. So he is good, obviously. I will probably lean towards that last start against the A's being an outlier rather than, like, I think he's heading in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? Like, this month, he's still pitched pretty well. He'd allowed 1 or fewer earned runs in 3 starts leading up to that. And you could argue that was a letdown spot because he had picked up a win in a 7-inning shutout against the Dodgers the game before that. So that could have been a letdown coming into that game against the A's. So I'm going to give him a pass for that. I think he will pitch well here. The Nationals somehow have basically not even seen him before. They only have 2 hitters who have ever faced him, and they're 0 for 4 with a strikeout and no walks against him. So even though King is a veteran, he's in his 30s, somehow he has an unfamiliarity edge here as well. Although there's a lot of game film on him, and you can just talk to guys that have faced him, but still nothing quite compares to having to face him in a real game. So I think King will do well. I think Foster Griffin for Washington is the bigger question mark here. Because, again, he's a guy who's 30, and all of a sudden you expect me to believe he's having some, like, career season. I don't know, man. I got caught once with one of those underplays recently, a first 5 under in a game involving him, and he was awful in that game. He does have good numbers, though. 3.63 ERA, 1.13 whip. He's been basically the same home and away. He's coming off a 6-inning shutout of the Braves. Really good outing there. Picked up a win against a good Braves team, but this is where I kind of start to get worried. Like, is he going to be in a letdown spot off of that? His 2 starts prior to that were both bad. One, he got rocked, and that was that one start where I was mentioning it. He gave out a first 5 under in that game, and Griffin was the reason why we didn't get that right. He got obliterated in that game. That was horrible. So that was really bad, but the start after that, he actually wasn't that bad, even though he gave up 5 runs against the Mets, which I know is not good. It's the Mets, so that is still a red flag, but he had a 5-0 strikeout walk ratio there, which isn't that bad. This month, he's got more than 1 strikeout per inning, 30 in 28 1/3 innings, 9 walks, that's pretty low. 25 hits allowed, also pretty low. So he is still pitching well, but I do worry that he's starting to kind of move in the wrong direction. This Braves game could set him up for a little bit of a letdown here. San Diego basically has never seen him before, though. Only Laureano has ever faced him, and he has a walk in that one at bat. I do lean to the under in the first 5 here. I don't want to deal with the bullpens. Washington's bullpen is like an immediate throw them the hell out of there. San Diego used a lot of their better relief pitchers yesterday as well. I like first 5 under here. The money is seeming like it agrees. 50% of tickets, 55% of the cash on the under. But I just worry generally about Washington's pitching at home just not being good, even though Griffin generally has been pretty good. The full game total is kind of telling you the odds makers think it's going to be a low-scoring game, 7.5. First 5, if you do want that, you're looking at a 3.5 in this game, though. The money is also coming in on Washington. which I think that bolsters the case for the under, though, because 64% of tickets on San Diego, 52% of the cash on Washington. And if the money seems to be coming in on the less trustworthy pitcher in Griffin, I don't really think that's a fade of King. I think that's more of a play on Griffin there. So that does kind of indicate that the under does kind of look correct there, but I would not do full game. Like I said, first 5 under is what I like there, and that one almost made the cut for me. So that one's going to win, and my plays are going to lose, That's just the way that it is. But I just have a few concerns there with Griffin and with Washington's pitching there. So, but yes, first 5 under, I like a decent amount in that game. This next game I am going to have a play. It is going to be Toronto, first 5 innings against Baltimore here. I know Baltimore should have motivation here because they're trying to avoid getting swept at this point, although these teams play tomorrow as well. It's a 4-game series, and both games have been close. Toronto has a 1-run win in both games. There are some arguments that Baltimore is the better team, but Toronto has the better pitching, man, and that's the thing. And obviously, I think they have the better starting pitcher here, and that's why I'm doing this. But I think Toronto does actually have the better bullpen as well. So if you wanted to leave this, if you wanted to go full game on Toronto, you could do that too. I almost did that. But the one reason why I am not doing that is because Toronto used a bullpen game yesterday. So their bullpen is definitely more worked than Baltimore's is. This website won't show you it. I don't know why it's fucking up, but I can tell you right now, the teams used a similar amount of relief pitchers in the game yesterday, but Toronto used their bullpen for way more pitches because the bullpen basically threw the entire game. You know what I mean? They went with a bullpen game. So, because it was supposed to be Dylan Cease's turn, and he's hurt. So I mentioned that yesterday when I handicapped that game. So I'll take Toronto's bullpen out of the equation after they had to use them like that. Yes, Baltimore should be motivated because they're trying to get a win in this series. And yes, there was a reason why they lost the first game of the series. I thought they were in a letdown spot off of that sweep of Tampa Bay. So I did worry about Baltimore a little bit in that first game. But I just think this starting pitching matchup is just too strong in favor of Toronto here, man. As far as the rest of this game, Toronto generally does have the better bullpen, ranked 9th. The Orioles are 19th. Toronto, still their bullpen ERA, I don't know, it's higher than all the other teams around them, so I don't think they're actually a top 10 bullpen, but they're better than Baltimore. And they've been pitching pretty well recently. Baltimore has the better offense. They're 12th. The Blue Jays are 23rd, which isn't good, but I don't think we need that much offense to get this bet to come home, and I think Toronto can score in this matchup here. We're going to be backing Teoscar Savage here for the Blue Jays. We're getting him at a reasonable price, too, which kind of surprised me because the full game price on Toronto is basically the same as this. So I was thinking first 5 is probably going to be like almost minus 140 because we know we get the better starting pitcher here. But no, the line was like the same as it was for full games. So I'm like, okay. So it seems like a good price at the minus 125 here. We get to back you Savage. He's good. 2.25 ERA this year so far. 1.06 whip. I mean, we don't have to worry about his youth at this point, I don't think. I mean, he pitched in the playoffs last year. He got a lot of experience. I'm not too concerned about that at all. He's been good on the road this year, too. 1.69 road ERA. He didn't do well in his last outing against Miami, but I would say that was misleading that he gave up 5 runs in that outing because he only allowed 5 hits, and he had 2 walks, 6 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings. So he got unlucky that most of the guys that reach base happen to score. If you take that out, all of his other outings, he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs, and he's allowed 1 or fewer in all but one of them. So he is pitching well. He's got over 1 strikeout per inning, below 1 hit per inning, and his walk rate is reasonable enough. And he has the unfamiliarity edge as well. Baltimore has never faced him before, even though he's in their division. Savage came into the majors late last year, never faced Baltimore, so Baltimore might struggle to figure him out early on, man. So I will back him here against Brandon Young, who is the more familiar of the two pitchers. Young's got a good ERA, so people might be misled by that, 3.47, but his whip is 1.4. That's not good, even though I think he's capable of pitching decently, but it just hasn't really happened throughout his career. I don't know if this is really the environment for it. His whip is a concern for sure. He's been a little bit worse at home, 3.74 home ERA. So the home road splits, while they're not huge, they are in favor of Toronto here as well. Baltimore's won 4 games in a row behind Young, and they've won 6 of 7. I get that. That is concerning if you're going to go against him here. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but one outing where he got rocked by Houston. But he really, I don't know, man. There are some concerns here. The main concern is the walks. He's got 11 walks this month in 21 2/3 innings, 17 strikeouts, 17 hits allowed. The number of walks is not something you can continue doing and continue allowing this few runs, which basically you could see that in his whip. Like he's putting so many guys on base. Some of them are going to score eventually. Like that just is trouble waiting to happen. His strikeout rate is low on the season, so that's not good. Well below 1 per inning. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, which is good. But his walk rate is also still too high, and it got higher this month. I don't like that. And Toronto, while they haven't been hitting well this season, they have 20 at-bats against him, which isn't huge, but it is something. And they've hit 400 off of Young with an 879 OPS, and that's including an 0-for-2 from Vlad Guerrero. With a walk in there. But Toronto has been able to hit him a little bit, so we will go with Toronto first 5 in this one. The money seems like it is backing this, even though they are seemingly public as well, which I guess kind of makes sense because they are the team with the better record. But 81% of tickets, 89% of the cash on Toronto. They're in the minus 120-something range for the full game. Like I said, it's basically the same as it is first 5. This is a first 5 inning play. Back you Savage over Young here. That's what we're going to do. Toronto first 5. Plus, there's no way that Toronto's plus 108. There's absolutely no way. That I think you bet the wrong thing. There's absolutely no fucking way that that's unless you play the run line. You must have laid the half run. That must have been what it was. Which I mean, I wouldn't really disagree with that, but I would prefer the money line because then if the game is tied, you'll at least push the bet. You're going to need them to be winning by a run at the end of the first 5, which is possible, but there's a low total in that game. It's 7.5, which that does worry me a little bit that the odds makers kind of are respecting Young by putting the total that low, but I don't know about that. All right. Kansas City at Texas is on Fox Sports 1. Texas won the game easily yesterday, 9-1. They bounced back from a bad series against Houston. Texas is definitely the better of these two teams here. Kansas City, sorry, Zach. Kansas City not doing well. Kansas City used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, according to this. Texas did also, but Texas has the better bullpen. Texas is ranked 7th in bullpen right now. I think they might be better than that. They're one of the best bullpens. Which cannot be said for Kansas City, who's ranked dead last. Although I think they're probably really the 3rd worst bullpen behind Houston and Anaheim. But this is a bad Kansas City bullpen. Hitting-wise, Kansas City hasn't been good either. They're at 27th. And Texas, not known for their offense, is at 21st. So Texas has the edge, I think, in every phase of this game. Maybe debatably not the starting pitching, but I think it's you can make arguments for either starting pitcher here, in my opinion. So I was going back and forth, trying to figure out what I thought about this game. Seth Lugo is pitching for Kansas City. He's a guy that generally I do like, but the advanced analytics guys, like I keep saying, I think they have something right about Lugo because even though he has a 3.74 ERA, his whip is definitely too high at this point, 1.38. He hasn't been as good recently. He's good on the road, though. He's got a 3 road ERA, and we know how pitcher-friendly Texas is. So I think Lugo has a good situation to pitch well here. Even though he hasn't pitched that well this month, he's got way too many walks and way too many hits allowed, too. In 27 1/3 innings, he's allowed 34 hits on top of 12 walks. You cannot do that, man. 23 strikeouts is fine. I mean, he's not really a strikeout pitcher. He's somehow allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in 3 of these 5 starts, and 2 of those were the most recent ones against Boston and Seattle, but it is still concerning he's not pitching as well right now. However, Texas is not an elite offense by any means here. It's a pitcher-friendly park. Lugo's been better on the road, and his numbers against Texas in his career are pretty good. In 47 at-bats, 14 strikeouts, 3 walks, 106 average allowed, and 394 OPS. So I believe Lugo does set up to probably pitch well here. I would lean more towards him having a good outing here. He's going up against Kumar Rocker, who I think is way more unpredictable. He's got a 3.96 ERA this year, which is fine. 1.36 whip is not that good. So both these pitchers have been too wild, even though I think Rocker is kind of the harder thrower out of the two and whatever. He's obviously the younger pitcher. Rocker has been better at home, 3.52 home ERA. So the home road splits favor both pitchers here. Rocker has definitely been better in this pitching environment, which makes sense. He wasn't great last time out here against Houston, but he got a little bit unlucky in that he allowed 4 hits, 2 walks, and 4 of those runners came home. He did allow a home run. Generally, though, it's his walks that are the concern. He's got 12 walks in 23 and a third innings this month. 21 hits allowed is fine. 20 strikeouts is okay, but that walk number is ridiculous, and that's how he's been all season. He's got a strikeout rate that you kind of wish would be a little bit higher from a guy like him. The walk rate is way too high, and the hit rate is fine. It's good. Rocker, one advantage he might have here is that Kansas City has never faced him before, and they're a pretty weak offense. So I think he might have an edge here because he's at home where he generally pitches better. He's unfamiliar to Kansas City, and they're not a very good offense. So I think probably looking at a first 5 under is the better way to look at this game. It's another low total, so the odds makers are telling you that they think that this is going to be a low-scoring game. It's at 7.5 here. Some of the books have it juiced to the under as well. So the odds makers are telling you something with that. But, of course, I mean, it's not a surprise. Like, Texas, their home games are averaging, like, below 7 runs a game. Texas is the lowest scoring home team, I think still. Maybe the Red Sox are. But the Red Sox have scored home runs recently, so Texas might be the lowest scoring home team again. And they also allow the fewest runs as a home team as well. So they play very low scoring games at home. So yeah, first 5 under is probably what I would be looking at. Looking at in this game. 87% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Texas at minus 120. I don't know if I agree with that. Lugo has the established numbers against Texas that are good. Rocker is just highly variant. Like, certainly there's a chance Rocker goes out there and pitches really well and rocks, but I think there's more of a chance that he does horribly than that Lugo does. So that's where the variance comes in there. But I am leaning towards Rocker pitching better, even though I kind of lean Kansas City first 5 here as an underdog. I'm assuming they're going to be an underdog there. Wouldn't want anything to do with their bullpen. But yeah, I think first 5 under makes the most sense to me in that game, though, going with both pitchers to actually do well here. John Rocker, yeah, no relation. John Rocker does rock. Hopefully he still follows me on Twitter, despite all my, despite me butting heads with the idiot conservatives recently. I think he still follows me. I don't know. Shout out to John Rocker. Yeah. He's one of my favorite pitchers as well. All right. Not my absolute favorite, but one of my favorites. Anaheim and Tampa Bay. This is going to be my other baseball play. This is a game where I think we can get this a little bit under the radar. We're going to go first 5 under 3.5. I know if you want 4, you have to pay like minus 135 for it. So I opted to go 3.5 at even money instead. It's a close call. If you want to go under 4, every half run in the first 5 innings matters and is about the same. But I think we're going to get a low-scoring early part of this game. I like the starting pitching matchup in this game, obviously. And I do not like the bullpens. And again, this website is fucked up because these teams did use their bullpens yesterday. So I don't know what this website is talking about. There was some bullpen usage on both sides here. It wasn't a lot, though. Each team only used a couple of relief pitchers, but still, I don't like these bullpens. Anaheim's bullpen is one of the worst in baseball. They're ranked second worst, 29th, really bad. Tampa Bay hasn't been doing that well either. They're 16th. mediocre bullpen, but ERA in the mid-4s is not very good. Offensively, these teams have been decent. Tampa Bay has been the better one. They're actually 7th offensively, so we do have to dodge that in this game. Anaheim has been hitting a little bit better recently, but still they were struggling for a while before that. They're at 19th offensively, but I think the good pitching can stifle good hitting, and that's what we're going to go with here. Reed Detmers is pitching for Anaheim. He's got a 4.57 ERA, and his record is ugly, 1-5. So I think people are going to really overlook him. But if you look at the rest of his numbers, this guy is actually good. He's got a 1.14 whip. So that tells me, okay, that ERA should be lower because he's not putting that many guys on base. He's been good on the road, 3.81 road ERA. So the home road splits favor this year because he's been better away from Anaheim Stadium, which is a more hitter-friendly stadium. Detmers had an awesome outing last time out against Texas. He hit them with 14 strikeouts in 8 innings and did not allow a walk, although the one hit was a home run. And he wound up not getting the win in that game, although Anaheim won the game. Now, the one concern there is that, he might have a letdown after that. That's true, but that was an excellent start, and to me, it looks like he's in good form this month. He's got way over 1 strikeout per inning on the month. His strikeout rate's been high, 39 strikeouts in 29 and third innings, only 25 hits allowed. The one concern is 10 walks. When you kind of dive into it a little bit, it was 6 in one game against Toronto, and I know that was on the road as well. Toronto's not a good offense, I know that. So that is concerning, but to me, that looks like a blip because he did bounce back. And then his other bad start was at home against the A's, and he gave up 8 runs, but he got unlucky in that one. He gave up 8 hits, which isn't good, but basically everybody that got on base scored against him, which you don't really expect that to happen. He still had 8 strikeouts and 2 walks, so I don't think he was that bad in that start. If you look over the course of the season, he's allowed more than 3 earned runs only 3 times, twice in April. He's got a high strikeout rate, dude. He's got more than 1 strikeout per inning by quite a bit, fewer than 1 hit per inning allowed, and his walk rate is reasonably low as well. So his overall numbers are all good. He is too fly ball heavy, though, which does worry me a little bit. So we have to avoid the home runs here. But he also has good numbers against Tampa. They only have 5 hitters who have seen him before. So some of their hitters have never faced him. Only Yandy Diaz has been able to do any damage against him. He's got the only extra base hits against him, a double and a home run. But overall, they're 4 for 30 off him overall with 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. That's a 133 average and 454 OPS. So I like Detmers. I think he's better than his ERA looks. He's got the home road splits in his favor. He looks to be in good form right now. He didn't throw too many pitches, at least in that 14 strikeout outing. He did it with an efficient pitch count. So I think that's good. And he's not so young that I'm like, oh, he's not used to pitching like this. You know what I mean? He's been in the league for a few years, so that worries me a little bit less. And he'll be going up against Drew Rasmussen. And you watch my show, you know I wind up on a lot of unders with this guy. He's been good. He's got a 2.78 ERA, 0.98 whip. He's been better at home. So both home road splits are in favor of this here. 2.31 home ERA. He's coming off a good outing where he 7 innings shut out the Yankees and had 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 hits allowed. So yeah, you could argue there's going to be a letdown component to this year too, because that was a big outing, but I'm not so sure about that. I mean, he did shut out the Yankees previously, and he did have a bad start after that, but it was on the road against Pittsburgh. And I've talked about that. Pittsburgh, that is a pretty good offense, and they're really good in their home stadium. This is a different deal. He's going to be at home here against a weaker offense than that. So I'm less concerned about that. Overall, he's been pitching pretty well, even though he's not really a strikeout pitcher, but he's not putting a lot of guys on base. He's been very consistent. Like this month is pretty similar to his other stats this season. He's allowed well below 1 hit per inning. His walk rate is not high, and his strikeout rate is reasonable. He's not really a strikeout pitcher. His numbers against Anaheim are mediocre, but they're on the better side of the Mendoza line for the OPS. At least he's got 23 at-bats against them. 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, 261 average. Really, Adam Frazier does all the damage against him, though. They have a 726 OPS against him, but Frazier's 5 for 12 with a double. And I know Soler does have a home run off him, but really, I think if Rasmussen can pitch around Frazier, just that one guy that really gets you. He should have a good outing here. And the odds makers are telling you they think this is going to be a low-scoring game. And, of course, this website is all fucked up again. Their odds logic integration is not working well here, it looks like. Of course, that didn't work. Oh, there we go. We don't see the percentages here on the this website's got some problems, man. So we don't see the percentages on the total here, but the odds makers put a total up there, 7. It was juiced to the over on the open, and now it's an even 7. So the odds makers and the professionals seem to be telling you they think this is going to be a low-scoring game here. 93% of tickets, 87% of the cash on Tampa. So the money seems to be backing the maybe less, what's the word I'm looking for here? The pitcher that you might have more concerns about, Detmers, the money seems to be coming in more towards him, so that is interesting. We're taking the bullpens out. Like I said, I don't want either bullpen here, really. I like it to be a pitching duel early, though. We'll go first 5 under, 3.5. If you can find a 4 that's at like minus 125 or better than that, then I would probably shift and go to that under 4 at that price. But I didn't see it, so 3.5 plus 100. If I do see it, like shortly after I get this video up, then I will make the change in the description, but I don't think it's going to happen. All right, my Red Sox at Cleveland. What are we supposed to do with Brian Bello, dude? The Red Sox lost 4-3 yesterday, and if you saw how that game played out, Brian Bello came in after an opener again, and guess what he did? Yeah, he pitched well. Again, every time the Red Sox put an opener in front of Bello, he pitches well, and every time he starts the game, he is absolute trash. So they have to put an opener in front of him, except Garrett Crochet. When Garrett Crochet comes back, the Red Sox can take him out of the rotation, finally. But every time the Red Sox have put an opener in front of him, the opener has given up multiple runs, I'm pretty sure. So they were using Moran for that. And he was bad every time he opened, and then Bello came in and pitched well. So what did they do? Okay, yesterday they tagged Samaniego to do it, and what did he do? He allowed 4 fucking runs in the first fucking inning. So the Red Sox are already in a 4-0 hole after 1 inning. Bello pitched the rest of the game and allowed no runs. And the Red Sox almost caught up and won. They lost 4-3. It is ridiculous that the Red Sox can't find a guy to just go in there and throw a clean first inning. Like, what are you doing, dude? And this is a good Red Sox bullpen, too. And anybody they use in that opener role fucking sucks. It makes no sense. It's like nobody in these Bello games is capable of pitching a good first inning. Nobody is, including Bello. It's insane. But then, of course, like I said, when Bello comes in after that opener, he's like a complete stud. He looks awesome. It makes no sense to me. Bello did have the good matchup numbers, and I know I liked Boston first 5 in that game, and that first inning destroyed everything. After the first inning, the Red Sox allowed no more runs in the entire game. I'm pissed, dude. I'm fucking pissed. As a Red Sox fan, can the Red Sox win this game? I mean, they can. It's a really low total, so it's expected to be a low-scoring game like a lot of these Cleveland games are. The Red Sox bullpen only used Samaniego as the opener, and then Bello pitched 8 innings or whatever, or 7 innings, I guess, because Cleveland didn't bat in the 9th inning. So the Red Sox bullpen is rested here, ready to go. Cleveland is not as rested. They used 5 relief pitchers yesterday and had to save the game. So the Red Sox bullpen sets up better here, and they're the better bullpen. They're ranked 6th, which is pretty good. Cleveland's not bad at 11th, but the Red Sox have the rested bullpen in addition to being the better bullpen. So you got to give the Red Sox a bullpen advantage here. Cleveland's offense has not been great. They're at 20th, although the Red Sox haven't been really good at all at 23rd, but they've been a little bit better recently. Sonny Gray is pitching for the Red Sox. He's been solid. 3.27 ERA, 1.2 whip. Gray, not as good on the road, though. 4.26 road ERA, so that is a concern that he hasn't been as good on the road. He's faced a lot of weak offenses recently in Minnesota twice, Detroit twice, Kansas City, San Diego a couple of starts before that, most of the season, really. But on the other hand, I will say that because Sonny Gray was on Minnesota, for a while. Kansas City and Detroit were fairly familiar with him, and he still pitched all right for the majority of those starts. This month, he is pitching okay. He failed to go 5 innings in his last outing against Minnesota. I don't really know what happened in that outing. It seems like they're limiting his pitch count because they only let him go 75 pitches there. He went 4 innings, allowed 3 earned runs. I mean, they were in that game. It wasn't that bad of a start. I don't know, but the rest of his starts this month, he's gone 5+ innings. Overall, he's got 21 strikeouts this month in 21 innings, 17 hits allowed, 6 walks. Those numbers are all good. He's just, in his older age here, he's been a bit too hittable, but this season, not really. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. His strikeout rate's not that high, which is not really what he does at this point, and his walk rate's not that bad. So, I don't know. He's been fine. He's also going up against another AL Central opponent. It's like every one of his opponents recently is the AL Central, and they're all familiar with him, except for Minnesota, I guess, because he was on Minnesota. He's got a lot of at-bats against Cleveland in his career, 93, but he's been pretty good against them. 25 strikeouts, 4 walks, 194 average allowed, 592 OPS. So Gray sets up like he should pitch okay here, but he's going up against Parker Messick, who is the much younger pitcher here, and probably at this point the better pitcher. Messick has been good, 2.24 ERA, 1.04 WHIP. He's been a little bit worse at home, but 2.5 ERA, not exactly bad. He's coming off a 5 2/3 inning shutout at Philadelphia, which is good. Cleveland has won his last 4 outings, and in fact, they've won 9 of his 11 starts this season. He's got a 32-9 strikeout walk ratio this month, 26 hits allowed in 28 innings. That's all good stuff. Over the course of the season, more of the same, well below 1 hit per inning. Decently low walk rate and a very high strikeout rate. So he's been good. The Red Sox have not really seen him either. Only Rafael and Wong have ever faced him before. I don't know if he came in a relief role. I don't know how that happened because I think they've both been on the Red Sox the entire time that Messick has been in the majors, so I don't know. But they're combined 1 for 3 off him. The only hit is Wong with a single. Wong also does have a walk. Wong also not a very good hitter either. But it looks like it's going to be a pitching matchup here. Messick might have a little bit of a starting pitching edge here. So, if you're going to lean Cleveland, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with it, but I would go first 5 only with Cleveland because the Red Sox, as I told you, do have a bullpen advantage here. 81% of tickets, 79% of the cash on Cleveland, so the money is fading them. But, of course, the real story here is this is a low total. The odds makers opened it at 7, and then immediately it looks like guys came in and took the under, and now it's at 6.5. I agree with the under in this game. I can't do it at 6.5, dude. I mean, you could go first 5 innings with it and find a 3.5. You might be going under 3.5 at like minus money though, but that's probably what I would do instead of going the full game because full game when you don't get that full 7 and Cleveland's bullpen is a little bit concerning here. I just don't like doing it, even though again, when the odds makers have a total that's this low, they're telling you they think it's going to be a low scoring game. I also think that it will be, but I think first 5 under makes the most sense to me in that game. And I was considering putting that on my card, but the number is just kind of keeping me away from it a bit. It's not a game where it's not really one of those under the radar pitching matchups necessarily, although it does kind of look like a pitching matchup I might get involved in, but really it's more about the number. All right, Miami and the Mets. This was a surprisingly high-scoring game yesterday. The Mets won on a walk-off home run, and I believe there were a lot of walk-off home runs. I think yesterday had a record number of walk-off home runs in Major League yesterday, something like that. I don't know. I know the Mets were one of them. That game went into extra innings. The starting pitching was a little bit worse than I thought it would be, so I was kind of surprised at how high-scoring that game was, especially since these offenses are not good. But because it was an extra inning game, that means the bullpen saw a lot of usage. Whoops, I'm looking at Milwaukee. Hold on. Miami didn't use any of their relievers. They didn't use any one reliever for a lot of pitches, so theoretically they could use any of these guys again today. So they did use 5 relief pitchers, but none of them saw a ton of action, and they were off the day before that. So Miami could use these guys against. Their bullpen is in okay shape coming into this game. The Mets bullpen used a little bit more. They used 6 relief pitchers, used them for more pitches. Both of these bullpens are actually pretty good, but Miami's is the better of the two, and they're a little bit more rested after that game. Neither are rested, though. Miami is 5th in bullpen. The Mets are 12th. Not bad either. Offensively, neither team is great. Miami is in the middle of the pack, though, 16. The Mets are still last, 30th. Miami is going with a bullpen game here, though. Tyler Phillips is listed as the starter. And I can tell you the last time they did that was on May 24th, and that was a low-scoring game. It was a 4-0 game, and in fact, Miami's bullpen game shut the Mets out in that game in Miami. But Miami is a more pitcher-friendly ballpark than the Mets Stadium is, although not significantly so, I don't really think. But that was an interesting game. I mean, Phillips was okay in the game, and really, I think that's what you're going to get out of him again. He's got decent numbers here, 1.07 ERA, 1.25 whip isn't really that great, but he's only going to go out there for about 3 innings, I would imagine, and then they're going to turn it over to the bullpen. And maybe that is concerning because they did still use 5 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. So if they're planning on using the bullpen most of the game here, basically, that's kind of an issue. So I don't know if I really love that. Phillips has been good against the Mets, but I don't know if it's worth really going into that much. But his numbers are good against the Mets. But a bullpen game is a bullpen game. Christian Scott is pitching for the Mets. He's still a young guy. He's been all right. He's got a 3.2 ERA, but his whip is a little bit of a concern, 1.38. That's not great. He's been worse at home, 4.5 home ERA. He pitched in that game that I just talked about against that Phillips bullpen game, and Scott actually shut out Miami for 5 2/3 innings, and then the Mets bullpen blew the game. So it was not really Scott's fault. He pitched pretty well in that game. He's been pretty good, actually, this month. He's got 29 strikeouts in 24 innings with only 21 hits allowed. 9 walks is not too bad. He's got a high walk rate on the season, but a lot of it is because his first outing, he walked 5 guys in 1 1/3 innings. His walk number has at least gone down from that since then. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning on the season. He's got over 1 strikeout per inning. So I think Scott is a decent pitcher here. He hasn't really gone that deep into most of his outings yet, though. He's only gone 5 innings twice. So we don't know how deep he's really going to go here. His numbers against Miami are pretty good, though, in 26 at-bats. Although with these young guys, sometimes this is kind of misleading because you'll see a pitcher, oh, he's good against this team. But if that team has finally seen him, maybe they'll do better against them the next time. You know what I mean? Like, if a guy has faced the lineup like once or twice, the unfamiliarity edge was kind of there, and maybe, because he's now seen him, it's not there anymore, but still, he does have good numbers against him, so I kind of lean towards Scott pitching well here. He's got a 6.2 strikeout walk ratio against them, only 1 extra base hit allowed. Xavier Edwards has a double, and has half of the Miami hits off of him. He's got a 231 average against him, pitching against Miami, and a 555 OPS. So overall, his numbers are good. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to lean Mets a little bit in this game, even though I know they won in dramatic fashion yesterday. The money seems to agree, and there's a reason why the Mets are favored, even though their record sucks. They're at minus 130 here. Odds makers are telling you the Mets are either the better team or they have the better starting pitcher. I might go, I don't know, man. Would you go first 5 or full game with this? Maybe full game does make sense because Miami did use their bullpen for the whole game yesterday, although they use them for fewer pitches, though. I don't know. I could see the argument for both Mets first 5 or Mets full game, but that's probably what I would do in this game, one of those two. I don't know which one is better, really. 61% of tickets, 85% of the cash on the Mets. So money seems to agree. There's a reason why they're favored, but I just prefer to have a young, actual starting pitcher who's actually fairly good, although the worry is he might not go that deep, so maybe a first 5 inning play. Yeah, I'd probably that's the way I would lean, I guess. First 5 innings on the Mets makes the most sense, I think. But I'd prefer to have that over the Miami bullpen game, I think. So, even though their bullpen arms are pretty good. All right, Milwaukee at Houston. I leaned Milwaukee, and Houston was in a very bad spot yesterday. Houston was returning home from the road. They were coming off a big series win over Texas. Milwaukee got there, but it wasn't easy. I think they had to win in extra innings. Yeah, they did. So that was a sweat if you took Milwaukee in that game yesterday. They did win, but it was close. But part of that handicap was Milwaukee has the better bullpen, and that's what won out. Houston's bullpen, they've been pitching better, but they're still bad. They've used 4 relief pitchers. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Milwaukee did use 5. So you might want to avoid both bullpens here just because of the usage yesterday. But Milwaukee has a bullpen edge anyway. They're number 10 in bullpen. Now their ERA is really good, actually. So Milwaukee has really climbed the ranks in the bullpen department. They're actually quite good. Houston's bullpen is still really bad. They're ranked 26, but they're tied for the worst ERA with Anaheim. Even though they're pitching a little bit better, they're still one of the worst bullpens. Hitting-wise, Houston's been solid. They're 5th. Milwaukee has been moving up a little bit in that area as well. They're 18th. They're not too bad on the offense, though. Brandon Sprout is pitching for Milwaukee, though, and he is... I can't figure him out, man, because I know he has good stuff, but his numbers are still bad, and it's mostly because he's just walking everybody. He's got a 5.84 ERA, 1.54 whip. None of that is good, obviously. He's been better on the road, 5.09 road ERA, which is still not good. He's failing to make it 5 innings in the majority of his outings. The walk rate is the concern here, man. His strikeout rate looks good. He's not even really allowing that many runs. He's just not going deep into games. But his walk rate is insane. On the course of the season, he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. He has more than 1 strikeout per inning, but he's walking more than 1 guy every 2 innings. You can't do that, dude. So that's the problem. But he does have good stuff. He's got to figure out how to fix his command issues. And Houston has never seen him before, so maybe he does have some advantage in there because he's facing an offense that hasn't seen him before. But I can't trust him with how many walks he's issuing right now. I can't do it. Houston is going with Peter Lambert, who has actually been pretty good, after a rocky start to his career with Colorado. Lambert all of a sudden is having a decent season right now with Houston. And Houston's pitching has been really bad. Houston's pitching is so bad. Lambert is like one of their better starting pitchers. He's got a 3.79 ERA, 1.17 whip. I mean, I'm not going to laugh at that. Those numbers are pretty good. He's been bad at home, though, or not as good at home, I should say. 4.32 home ERA. His recent pitching has been a little bit more concerning. His walk rate hasn't been good. 11 walks and 21 strikeouts in 25 innings this month, but only 17 hits allowed, so that's good. But he is walking too many guys recently. Over the course of the season, good strikeout rate, almost 1 per inning, that's fine. Fewer than 1 hit per inning by a lot, that's good. Walk rate isn't that bad, but you want to see it go down a little bit. But overall, he's been decent. Against Milwaukee, his numbers are mediocre / kind of below average, though. In 23 at-bats, 261 average allowed, 805 OPS. But remember, I think all of that was when he was with the Rockies, and he wasn't pitching as well as he currently is. 5 strikeouts, 4 walks against them. So you have to kind of weigh, yeah, he's not that good against Milwaukee, but like all those numbers were in the past. So what do you do about that, right? Because he's pitching better now. I think I lean, man, this is a tough game to figure out. I think Houston first 5 makes some sense here. Where are we looking here? It's an interleague game. Oh, yeah, I have to scroll all the way down to find it. That's right. Actually, they fixed it. This site is all over the place, man. The money is hitting Houston, but of course, I would do it first 5. There's no way I'd want to have Houston's bullpen involved in anything that I'm doing here. But we have 59% of tickets on Milwaukee. Public wants Milwaukee, even with Sprout having the worst numbers. They want the team with the better record, I suppose. But 51% of the cash on Houston. I don't really disagree. You'll probably get Houston at a slight underdog price, maybe right around a pick'em price. If you go, I would go first 5 on that, though. But that would probably be my lean. Houston first 5. There are some arguments to be had for an over in that game. The total's at 8.5. I mean, both bullpens are unrested here. I could potentially see both starters being a little bit questionable here, so I wouldn't really disagree with over 8.5 in that game either. All right. Yes, correct. I use that Rocky pun way too often, though. All right. Next game is a Fox game, which is the game that we got right yesterday, or the series that we got a winner in yesterday. Atlanta, Cincinnati. We had over on the show in that game yesterday, and that won. Atlanta with an 8-3 win in that game. Chris Paddock, not a good pitcher, man. But at least for Cincinnati, he's not pitching today. But it might not be that much better for them today, to be honest. Cincinnati's got a bad bullpen. Even though this website is not showing it, they did use some guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Both teams did. Atlanta used a little bit more than Cincinnati did, actually, but Atlanta is the way better bullpen. Atlanta's number one in bullpen whip, and they're right behind San Diego for the best ERA as well. Very good Atlanta bullpen this season so far. And not the case with Cincinnati. They're 28th. Cincinnati, very bad bullpen. Like probably a bottom 3 or 4 bullpen, really. Cincinnati's offense has been doing a bit better, and of course, a lot of these factored into that over yesterday. Cincinnati's been hitting a bit better. They're 13th offensively. The Braves are 3rd, and the Braves have good offense on the road. They hit well on the road. Martin Perez is making the start for the Braves. You got to hand it to him, man. He's a veteran journeyman pitcher. He's been on a bunch of different teams. He's pretty old, doesn't throw hard, relies on his pitch location and whatever. He's pitched pretty well, though. 2.7 ERA, 1.03 whip. I don't think those numbers are going to last, but he's pitched pretty well. It hasn't been good on the road, though. 4.38 road ERA. So this might be not the greatest spot for him to pitch in here. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark as well. But he's pitched well for the most part. Even the start where he gave up 4 earned runs against Miami, he had 10 strikeouts, which is unlike him. He's not a strikeout pitcher. This year, he's got well below 1 hit allowed per inning, though. His walk rate's not too bad, and his strikeout rate is low-ish. Of course, it would be a lot lower without that one outlier with 10 strikeouts, though. But he's pitched all right. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all but 2 starts. So he's, well, in all but 2 outings, I should say. He's made a couple of relief appearances as well, I think. But generally, he's pitched fairly well. I don't know if this is going to be the right spot, though. Cincinnati only has 4 hitters who've ever faced him, which is pretty surprising to me because Perez has been around for so long in both leagues, but more recently he was in the AL more so. So he was on Texas, and I forget where else. I think the Red Sox had him at one point not that long ago. The Reds only have 24 at-bats against him. They've hit well, though. 333 average, 929 OPS, 9.4 strikeout walk ratio, but you have to dial it back a little bit because Suarez, who was on Seattle and was in his division, has done a lot of that damage. He's 6 for 11 with a home run and 4 walks off him. So the majority of that damage comes from one hitter. So I'm not quite ready to say that Perez is a guy that you should definitely fade here. Brady Singer is pitching for the Reds. He's not having a good season. 6.26 ERA, 1.7 whip. He's actually considerably better at home for whatever reason, which was the case last year as well. Doesn't make much sense to me. This is a hitter-friendly park, but a lot of times it is a mental thing. You're just more comfortable at home. He's got a 4.26 home ERA. Hasn't been pitching well, though. This month, a lot of hits. 26 hits in 17 innings. That's really bad. 9 home runs allowed is really bad. 15 strikeouts is fine. 5 walks, not horrible. But he's been ridiculously hittable. He's allowed 14 home runs on the season. He's got one of the highest home run rates in baseball, on top of allowing a lot of hits. 20 more hits than innings pitched. That is awful. In that few innings pitched, 46 with 66 hits allowed. That is bad. His strikeout rate is fairly low, and his walk rate is just okay. Not a lot to like about Singer, although he does pitch better at home. His numbers against Atlanta are not as bad as you might think, but they're a little bit below average. And 67 at-bats, 254 batting average, 772 OPS, 25 strikeouts is good, and 7 walks. But generally, I don't know, man. I would not want to back Singer here, even though I know he pitches better at home. And I think the money is actually backing Cincinnati here. Let me see. No, actually, I don't know. Atlanta's very public. 89% of tickets, 92% of the cash on them. It looks way too easy to play Atlanta at about minus 140 or so, minus 130s. I'm not sure I would want to do it that way. If you're going to go Cincinnati here, you got to make it first 5 innings only, though, because you do not want their bullpen here. But with both bullpens see some usage yesterday, both starting pitchers definitely have some question marks. I'd probably look over more than anything else in this game. The total's fairly high at 9.5. I think it's that high for a reason. So, yeah, over makes more sense to me in that game than anything else. I know over yesterday was the play there, but yeah, that's the way I see it. All right, I'm going to be right back, talk about the rest of these games, and I still have a play to give out in the NBA game, even though you probably already know what it's going to be, but I will be right back. All right. Whew. I'm bald. I took my hat off. I don't know. I needed to cool my head, man. All right. Let me see. Next game up is the Cubs and St. Louis, which is also on Fox. Probably the game that's going to get more attention out of those two. Atlanta, Cincinnati, the other. This is a divisional series, of course. St. Louis won yesterday 6-5, which kind of surprised me. I still think the Cubs are the better team, and the odds makers think that as well. The Cubs are going to be a favorite here again, even though they're on the road. This website, not doing well, but these bullpens did see some usage yesterday. But St. Louis saw heavier bullpen usage than the Cubs. I went and I looked at it. St. Louis used at least a couple more pitchers than the Cubs did out of the bullpen, and the Cubs have the better bullpen. So the Cubs do have a big bullpen advantage in this game. They're ranked 8th, plus they're the more rested bullpen. St. Louis is ranked 20th in bullpen. They're not like an atrocious bullpen, but they're not that good. Offensively, the Cubs are still 8th, and St. Louis is 15th, so the Cubs have had the better hitting as well. I think the Cubs have the starting pitching edge as well with Ben Brown pitching. He's been good, although remember, a lot of these numbers are pitching out of the bullpen. He's joined their starting rotation because they have so many injuries. Very bad for the Cubs, dude. I'm still angry about Cade Horton getting hurt because he was like, I liked to like make plays on Cade Horton's games and whatever. Yeah, that sucks. Not Scott Horton. And they also lost Matthew Boyd. But Brown is pitching pretty well. Even as a starter, he's been good so far. But overall, he's got a 2.01 ERA, 0.99 whip. He's a guy who has not had good numbers in the past, but I've pointed out, like, I think his stuff is actually good, and he's capable of pitching well. And we're kind of seeing that now. He's been good on the road as well, 1.52 road ERA. You can see that they're ramping up his pitch count, man. He's gone a real full starter's workload the last couple of outings, and he's been good. He's gone 5+ innings in each of them. He allowed 4 combined runs against Milwaukee and at Pittsburgh. That's a good sign, dude. If he can go into Pittsburgh and stifle that offense in their home stadium where they hit well for 6 innings, that's a good sign. Even though they lost the game, it wasn't his fault. So Brown is pitching well. Right now, over the course of the season, he's got more than 1 strikeout per inning, well below 1 hit allowed per inning. His walk rate is a little bit high, though, so he's got to get that under control a little bit. But since he's been a starter, it hasn't really been that much of an issue. He's going up against St. Louis. They actually have good numbers against him, but it's in a very small sample. 11 at-bats, only 5 hitters have faced him before. 273 average, 1203 OPS. So, I like the Cubs to get this game, especially in a bounce-back spot after yesterday's loss. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned by these numbers. Not a lot, though. I mean, it's such a small sample size. I would still prefer to back Brown here over Kyle Leahy, but it is keeping it away from being a play for me, though. Kyle Leahy is pitching for the Cardinals. I think he was supposed to start the other day, and they pushed his start back. He hasn't been good. 4.44 ERA is pretty mediocre, but his whip is really bad. 1.58, so his ERA should be higher than it is based on that. But he's been decent at home. He's got a 3.54 home ERA, more pitcher-friendly stadium. He's actually pitched decent this month, so that kind of concerns me about fading him as well. I know we got an overcorrect in one of his games recently. That might have been his last. Was that his most recent game? Did we get the override in that one? I think that was that game. I don't know. Leahy's got 20 strikeouts, 21 in the third innings this month, 20 hits allowed, 11 walks is the problem, though. He's allowed one or fewer earned runs in all but the most recent start, the Cincinnati one, this month. So he is actually pitching fairly effectively just recently. Just his walk rate is definitely too high. That's a problem. Over the course of the season, he's allowed more than one hit per inning. His walk rate is high. His strikeout rate's not that high. So I still don't think that he's very good, but he is pitching better right now for the most part. And his numbers against the Cubs are not quite as bad as you might want if you're actually going to fade him here. He's got 32 at-bats against them. A 281 average is definitely high, but 736 OPS. They've not really hit him for power here. 4 strikeouts, 4 walks. So I am going to leave it. I'm going to leave it alone, but I would lean to the Cubs in this game. I would go full game on it. I think they have the better bullpen and the more rested bullpen here. But the money is indicating against it. The Cubs are very public. 81% of tickets, 80% of the cash. Kind of surprises me, though, because St. Louis has had a good record this season. So it surprises me the public would be backing the Cubs with, the record disparity that they have here. And a guy that they don't, Brown is not like a name pitcher or anything. So I don't know. Seems very strange to me. But I hate it when this site refreshes and it jumps. But yeah, the Cubs are around minus 135 here or so. But that's probably what I would do. Cubs money line. San Francisco at Colorado. Colorado returned home and still got the win yesterday. Kind of surprising. 8-6. High scoring game as well. Which maybe that was less surprising because it's Coors Field, even though San Francisco is not a good offense. San Francisco used a lot of bullpen arms yesterday. It might have been an extra inning game. I'm not sure. But that was a lot of relief pitchers. They used 5. Colorado also used 5. We could just scroll up and see. It was not an extra inning game. Very, very strange. A lot of bullpen usage there. As far as the bullpen, San Francisco has the better bullpen, but they're not ranked that well. They're where are they at? Yeah, where the hell are they? What? Oh, I just saw them. Yeah, they're 15th, although the ERA is getting a little bit worse. But I think they're a decent bullpen. They're better than the Rockies, still by like a run on their ERA, and their whip is better as well. Rockies 21st, so San Francisco has the better bullpen. Neither offense has been very good. Colorado 21st, San Francisco 25th. So do with that what you want, although you could see some hitting in this game, though. We're talking about Coors Field here. I don't think either starting pitcher is particularly good. Adrian Hauser is going for the Giants. He had a decent season last year with, he was on a couple of different teams last year. Not the Giants, though, I don't think. But he's struggling with the Giants, which is weird because usually their pitchers pitch a little bit better. They got a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Not the case, and obviously Coors Field is not pitcher-friendly. Hauser's got a 5.3 ERA, 1.58 or 1.48 whip. That's not good. He is better on the road, 4.22 road ERA, which is insane. I don't know how he could possibly be as bad as he is in a pitcher-friendly Giants ballpark. But he's better on the road, although, that might not be the case here. Like, this is Coors Field we're talking about here. He isn't really an extreme fly ball pitcher, though. So, the way that he pitches isn't that bad for Coors Field. He's a little bit tilted towards fly balls, but not a lot. But over the course of the season, just not great numbers overall. More than one hit per inning. His walk rate is okay. His strikeout rate is really low. This month, more of the same kind of, but his walk rate is actually higher this month, which isn't good, even though you look at it and see, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing this month, and he's gone 5 2/3 innings or more in all of them except one. And San Francisco's won his last 3 outings, and he pitched decently against the Dodgers. He also actually pitched decently at the A's stadium Yes, I know. And that is a decent sign that he pitched well against the Dodgers, pitched well in that A's stadium. That's a decent sign for pitching in Coors Field. That's all true, but the walk rate is just bad, dude. Like, again, you can't do this. You can't walk this many guys. His walk rate recently is worse than it has been on the season. His hit rate recently has been way better, so it seems like he's changing the way that he pitches, and maybe overall it is better. Maybe he is trending in a better direction here, but I don't trust him. The Rockies have 27 at-bats against him. Only 6 hitters have faced him, but they have hit 370 off him with a 969 OPS, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. I think generally I'd probably lean towards fading Hauser here. He will be going up against Ryan Feltner, who is coming back from the injury list for the Rockies here. He's been injured for about a month. He wasn't doing well prior to that. 6.3 ERA, 1.5 whip, not very good. He was better at home, which doesn't make any sense, although it's a small sample size. 5.54 ERA. I mean, he's just, I don't know, man. He's not a great pitcher. He was able to go 5 innings a couple of times here, was decent against the Dodgers before his start where he got injured against San Diego. So there are some things that aren't too bad here. He's allowed a little bit more than 1 hit per inning. His walk rate is a little bit too high. Strikeout rate a little bit low. I don't know. I'm not huge on Feltner here, man. Feltner against San Francisco, they only have 4 hitters who've ever faced him. 28 at-bats, 286 batting average allowed, 775 OPS, 8-1 strikeout walk ratio. Strikeout walk ratio is good there, but the rest of those numbers, not great, but it is a small sample size, so I don't know. What do we do with this game, man? I mean, I think an over is in consideration here. Colorado's getting the money. It looks like the tickets are, I can't tell which percentage is which here, but it looks like somewhere around 50-50 on the tickets, but 76% of the cash on Colorado. They are an underdog here. I don't know if I would look that way, man. I think an over might make more sense here. You're having to go over 11 in this game, though. It goes to 11, right on a key number there, because you have to break a 5-5 tie. Odds makers are telling you they think there are going to be runs in this game, so do with that what you want, but I don't know. I might listen to them in that game and consider the over, but I don't want to do anything with that game, obviously. Yankees at the A's, I had a correct lean in that game, which was Yankees team total over, was I thought what made the most, I think I mentioned that, right? That was what I thought made the most sense in that game. That did happen. I thought the Yankees would win, which they also did, 8-2. Yankees are the better team overall. The A's used basically every relief pitcher they have yesterday, so that's also not a good sign, since the Yankees are the better bullpen of the two anyway. And now the A's have used like all their relief arms. That's not good. The Yankees only used 3 and used Cruz for 2 pitches. So the Yankees have a big bullpen advantage here, in my opinion. Their bullpen's decent at 13th. Their ERA is quite good. The A's are 23rd. Nowhere near as good, plus very unrested. So big bullpen edge to the Yankees here. Yankees also have the number 2 offense. The A's are number 11 right now. That also goes to 11. Both offenses are pretty good. The pitching might be able to counter that somewhat. Ryan Weathers is pitching for the Yankees, and he's been good. 3.14 ERA, 1.12 whip. He's been good on the road as well, 2.81 road ERA. He's coming off a 7-inning shutout of Tampa Bay. Had a little bit of a blip in the game prior to that against Toronto, but he still had 7 strikeouts and no walks in that one. So even that start wasn't that bad. It's like the 2 starts where he gave up 5 earned runs, his strikeout rate was still really high. I think Weathers is actually good, man. His numbers this season are good. Over 1 strikeout per inning overall, below 1 hit per inning overall. Walk rate is fairly low as well. Those types of numbers are continuing this month. The Yankees have won 5 of his last 6 starts. There's not a lot to dislike about Weathers. The question is, how is he going to do in this A's stadium? Because we have Coors Field and we have the A's stadium, Sacramento, both going on over the weekend here. Have to handicap both of the most hitter-friendly ballparks here. How is Weathers going to do in this stadium? That is kind of what you have to try to figure out here. I don't know, man. I think he's never pitched in this stadium before. He did pitch against the A's in Yankee Stadium early this season. He was good. He went 8 innings, allowed 1 run on 7 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks. That was a good outing from him. You got to look at his fly ball rate, and yes, he is more of a fly ball pitcher. He skews about 2/3 fly ball, which isn't, or maybe a little bit less than that, but that's not great. I don't know. I mean, I worry about him a little bit in this game, but he has good numbers against the A's. He's got good numbers overall. They have 24 at-bats against him, 7 strikeouts, no walks, 250 average, 625 OPS. I think I lean more towards him pitching well here, though, than not. The A's will be going with JT Ginn, who is having a decent season, but he doesn't pitch as well in this stadium at home, which obviously makes sense because it ruins pitchers. 3.19 ERA, 1.14 whip. Those are good numbers. But 5.21 home ERA compared to 2.08 on the road. So, again, he struggles in this stadium. Wasn't good in his last outing either against San Diego, but that can be explained because you remember what he did the prior game at Anaheim. He took a no-hitter into the 9th inning, and he lost it in the 9th inning. So I told you I thought he was going to be in a letdown spot, a hangover spot. After that, when you're that close to a no-hitter, I think you're just not going to be quite up for the next game, man. It's hard to get back up off the mat. So I think that explains why he was so bad in the next game against San Diego, where he walked 6 guys in 2 1/3 innings, only allowed 2 runs, and no hit them for 2 1/3 innings. But he was just all over the place, man. So I actually think he will pitch better than that here because you can kind of explain why he didn't pitch well there. But I don't know. I don't like him at home, though. And overall, his numbers, there are some concerns here. His hit rate is really good. He's allowed very few hits. Strikeout rate, he's not really a strikeout pitcher. He's all right in that department. His walk rate is the concern. He walks way too many guys. But again, some of it is because of that last outing. He's had a couple of starts where he's just walked a ton. And so really, it's kind of weird, dude, because he has 3 starts over the season where he's had 4 more walks in those 3, and that amounts to 15 of the 23 walks that he's had this season. So I don't know. It's like he's either walking everybody or his command is fine. I don't really get it. But also, I don't really quite understand why he's that bad in the stadium because he's not an extreme fly ball pitcher. So I don't know, man. There's a lot to consider in this game. Ginn has been okay against the Yankees in the past in 12 at-bats. Not a huge sample. 250 average, allowed 500 OPS. No extra base hits, 4 strikeouts, no walks. I'm almost tempted to say first 5 under in this game. I mean, that might be the way I would kind of lean here. It sounds insane in an A's game, but the odds makers put the total up at 9.5. So it's not the highest total that you've seen in the A's stadium here. It's low for an A's home game. Money is coming in towards the Yankees. They're around -150 here. They're public. It looks like initially they dropped on the money line, but now they're getting the cash. 82% of tickets, 90% of the cash on them. I could see the argument for it. I think the Yankees probably will win this game. I think if you go Yankees, you go full game here. And I maybe just lay the money line if you can find it at around -150 or less. You could make your own -1 run line. I would probably do something like that with the Yankees here if I was going to do that. But I think a first 5 under actually makes some sense here. I know you're going against Ginn, not doing well at home, but I just kind of pointed out that maybe he should actually pitch a little bit better than that. Weathers might actually be able to pitch okay here too. Full game total's not that high. You're looking at you might even get a 5 in the first 5 innings here. I don't know what the number would be, but under that makes some sense to me in that game. All right, Arizona at Seattle. I thought this game was going to be a lot lower scoring yesterday. It was not. I think it went to extra innings. Seattle won 7-6. This might have been one of those walk-off games. Yep, Seattle won. All the extra inning games ended in 10 innings yesterday. Get rid of the ghost runners, man. Let's have some 18-inning games come back. I'm sick of the ghost runners. But Seattle was able to win, even though it was kind of a questionable spot, I thought, because Seattle had just overtaken first place in the division with a sweep over the A's on the road and were returning home from that. So I thought they were in a bad spot, but they still were able to get out of there with a win. I think Seattle has the better of the 2 bullpens here, but they basically used everybody out of the bullpen yesterday, which isn't good, obviously. Arizona used a little bit less of their bullpen. They used 5 guys out of the bullpen. Arizona's ranked 3rd in bullpen because I arrange it by whip, and Seattle is 18th, but Seattle's ERA is almost a run better. Although Arizona's bullpen, I have to admit, is better than I thought they were. So I don't think they're the third best bullpen, but I don't think they're bad either. And I think Seattle's is slightly better, but because they're unrested, maybe Arizona does have a slight bullpen edge in this game. I think it's close. Hitting wise, Arizona's been pretty good again. They're 10th now. They've been hitting well recently. Seattle's 14th. So both teams have actually started hitting better again. Then we look at this pitching matchup here. The odds makers are putting a low total on this, so the odds makers think this is going to be a pitching duel, even though it's my favorite, Ryan Nelson, pitching for the Dbacks. He's got a 4.65 ERA, not great, but you got to admit his whip is pretty good at 1.18. He's better than I think that he is, I guess, even though he was terrible for a few years. I don't know what happened. I thought he was pine tarring or something last year because I don't know how. It was last year, all of Arizona's starting pitchers got worse, but then Nelson got better, and it made no sense to me. Nelson's been good on the road, 3.18 road ERA. So that actually looks good because you can kind of explain it because Arizona is a hitter-friendly ballpark. Now he's going to pitch in a pitcher-friendly park in Seattle. And his road ERA is much better, so he might pitch well here. He was pretty good in his last outing against the Rockies. I know they're not a good offense. He only struck out 3. His strikeout rate's not that great, but he went 8 innings, allowed 1 earned run. He's pitched well this month. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing. He's gone at least 5 2/3 in every outing. 25 strikeouts, 8 walks. That's a decent ratio. Not a lot of walks. Not a lot of hits either. 24 hits in 34 1/3 innings. Unfortunately, yes, I have to admit, Nelson has pitched well this month, but he's faced mostly bad offenses, though. The only offense he's faced that's legit is the Cubs this month, and that was his shortest start, although he did okay in that start, too, on the road. But after that, he faced the Mets, Texas, San Francisco, and Colorado at home, and Texas was in that Texas ballpark, too. So I don't want to be overly impressed by that because those are weak offenses. But he's been pretty good against Seattle in a very small sample. Seattle really hasn't even seen him much because he's mostly been in the National League. They only have 4 hitters who have faced him, 9 at bats. They only have 1 hit, which is a home run from former Boston Red Sox, Rob Refsnyder. They got 5 strikeouts, 2 walks against him, 111 batting average, 717 OPS. I actually lean towards Nelson pitching well here. I don't want to do it, but that's just the way it looks. He's been in better form recently. He's better on the road. This is a pitcher-conducive ballpark. He's unfamiliar to Seattle, which might help him a little bit. He's going up against Brian Wu, who, I also like. He's been pretty good, 3.82 ERA, 1.04 whip, although he had some struggles recently, and he just now seems to be kind of coming back into form. He's been good at home, 2.9 ERA at home, which makes sense. Pitcher-friendly ballpark, although actually I forgot his last outing wasn't that good on the road at Kansas City. Prior to that, he had 3 good starts in a row, which made it look, it looked like he was coming back into form. I still think that start last time out was maybe a bit of an outlier. I never really want to assume that Wu is going to do bad, right? I think generally it just makes sense to predict that he's going to pitch well because he does that way more often than he doesn't. He's allowed way fewer than 1 hit per inning. His walk rate is a little bit higher than usual from him. Usually he does not walk like anybody, if I remember correctly. And his strikeout rate is right in line with what you expect. He's not a huge strikeout pitcher. He's an extreme fly ball pitcher, though, which it's too extreme for me at this point. That would worry me a little bit, even though I know he's pitching in a very pitcher-friendly park here where not a lot of home runs get hit. But still, he's only allowed 6 home runs this season, so his fly ball rate is not really translating to allowing home runs. His numbers against Arizona, they have not seen much of him. 4 of their hitters have seen him, 20 at-bats. They have no extra base hits, no strikeouts, 1 walk, 250 batting average, 536 OPS. So I think the odds makers do have this right, putting this total low. But because of the bullpen usage yesterday, I would go first 5 only on the under if I was going to play this. We see the percentages here, 85% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the under. I agree with the under, but it's teetering on 6.5 for the full game, dude. You're seeing 7, 6.5 out there. Definitely there is a reason for that, but I would worry about these bullpens with the usage they had yesterday. Especially Seattle's usage, it concerns me, dude. So I think under first 5 is the way I would attack this game. I think both starters might actually pitch well. I like how the data here has this as Kine Nelson. Yeah, that's his name. The money is also indicating towards Seattle. Seattle's about a minus 140 something favorite. Arizona's a dreaded public underdog here. 64% of tickets, 55% of the cash on them. I think the public is just looking at the records and seeing Arizona's been better recently, whatever. That probably is why, but you usually do not want to be on a public underdog. So Seattle might be a side to look at, but if I was going to do that, I would go first 5. I mean, I might not disagree with that because it's Wu over Nelson. And I like Wu a lot better than Nelson, but I think it's close in this matchup. But yeah, if you're going to go Seattle, I think first 5 innings makes more sense here. All right. Ghost runners inflating RBIs. Not that many games going to extra innings. It's the ghost runners. The problem with it is you don't earn the runner. It's not even baseball anymore, and it ruins unders. And you know me, because you can call me the Undertaker, I guess. I take more unders than overs because the public tends to be on overs. So, yeah, I hate it because it hurts the unders. All right, then we have Phillies Dodgers, and I did warn last night, even though Wheeler was pitching for Philly, his numbers were not good against Philly. I also told you that Freddie Freeman wrecks Zach Wheeler, and indeed, if you play that prop on Freddie Freeman, you got it done with one swing of the bat because he hit a home run. And his home run, that immediately got him over the hits plus runs plus RBIs. So if you played that, it won. Now, as far as today's game, it's an interesting pitching matchup today with the pitchers not really that good, but it's interesting. So the Dodgers did win yesterday. So the Dodgers were able to beat Zach Wheeler and are on their way to winning this series potentially here. Obviously, if you win the first game of a 3-game series, it's pretty likely you're going to win the series. The Dodgers used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen has been good, but they did use their closer and whatever. Philadelphia's bullpen is not bad, and they're rested right now, though. So I like both bullpens, though. The Dodgers are ranked number 2. They're one of the top bullpen ERAs as well. Good stuff from their bullpen this year. Phillies are not bad either. They're at 14th. They're a decent bullpen. Their ERA is a little bit higher than maybe it should be if they're ranked 14th, but they're not bad. Andrew Painter is pitching for Philly, though. Oh, wait, and the offenses, yeah, the Dodgers are number 1 in offense. Phillies have actually been really struggling. They're 28th, so they really have not gotten it going offensively, so that's a problem for the Phillies. Huge hitting disparity right now for the Dodgers. Painter is pitching for the Phillies. He's still in his rookie season. He's had some struggles, man. 5.4 ERA, 1.46 whip. That's not good. He's been a bit worse on the road as well. 5.95 road ERA. Pitched fairly well in his last 3 starts, though. He allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all 3. But against the Red Sox, Cincinnati, Cleveland, really the only one of those offenses that does much of anything is Cincinnati's right now. So I don't know how much weight to put into that. Also, he's not striking a lot of guys out. His walk rate's not great. This month, 19-10 strikeout walk ratio in 26 innings. That's definitely too many walks. 27 hits allowed isn't great either. Overall, just not excellent numbers for him. He's allowed more than 1 hit per inning by quite a bit, which is bad. Strikeout rate is fairly low, and his walk rate's a bit too high as well. At some point, I think he is going to start pitching a little bit better. I think, based on his scouting reports, he should be better than this. And he's just struggling early in his career. I think the Dodgers have never seen him before, so he does have that advantage, but that hasn't really helped him much so far. He's going up against all these lineups he's facing have never seen him before, and he's still struggling, so that's not great. Even though generally I would say that is an advantage. Being unfamiliar to the opposing hitters, but maybe not here. Roki Sasaki is pitching for the Dodgers. His overall numbers are not great here. 4.93 ERA, 1.42 whip. Home and away, his splits are not really that significant. But what I will say about Sasaki, because, he seems like he's kind of mentally untough, whatever. He's still a really young guy, though. He came over from Japan really early in his career. What I will say is he is starting to pitch better. He was having some major issues making the transition from being a relief pitcher to a starting pitcher. this month he's actually been pretty good. He's made 4 starts, 23 innings pitched, 19 hits allowed, 21 strikeouts, 5 walks, and he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any outing, and he's gone 5 or more innings in every outing. That's not bad. Although really the only actual good offense in there really was Milwaukee, but 3 of those starts were on the road. St. Louis is not that bad of an offense, although they're a pitcher-friendly ballpark, and that's where that was. But Sasaki looks like he is starting to figure it out, dude. So I think I would prefer him, like based on the fact that his current form looks decent. He's moving in the right direction. Against the Phillies, he actually has good numbers in 24 at-bats, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, 125 average, 317 OPS. That's good. He's been good against the Phillies in the past. So I think I'm going to lean Dodgers in this game in some capacity. Sorry, I just closed the tab. Where's this game? Here it is. Oh, shit. It looks like they changed the pitcher to Luzardo. I got to re-handicap this now. Now, the money is coming in on the Dodgers. 52% of tickets, 56% of the cash on the Dodgers. They're at minus 120-something here. I'd still consider full game probably because I do think the Dodgers, even though their bullpen's a little bit less rested, it's still a good bullpen. So I probably would still lean Dodgers full game money line here. But we got to look at Luzardo's numbers now, man, because that changes things. I like it less. I would prefer it if, and I guess Aaron Nola's on paternity leave, so maybe should we try to fade the baby again when he comes back? I don't know. And in his case, because he's from Louisiana and his name is Nola, is his baby coming out of a king cake? That's what they should do. That's what they should do. His wife should give birth into a king cake. That's how the baby can have a soft landing there. I don't know, man. All right. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's happening here, but yeah, it looks like Painter is probably going to pitch tomorrow. I would guess. I don't know, but they're moving Luzardo up. I don't even know what rest Luzardo is on. Luzardo pitched on the 25th, so he's on. Usually pitchers, because there's usually a day off in there, because teams usually have 2 days off every week. So usually a guy is going to pitch 6 days after he last pitched. In this case, it's going to be 5, which is interesting. But Luzardo pitched well last time out in San Diego. He's pitching well this month with a 2.96 ERA, 31 strikeouts, 8 walks, 27 hits allowed in 27 and third innings. He's pitching well right now, dude, and that went back into the end of last month, too. His overall numbers don't look great, 4.38 ERA, 1.28 whip, but as I pointed out, he's gotten unlucky this season. Like a lot of the guys that have reached base have scored against him, and he's obviously starting to pitch a lot better here, and he's also been way worse at home for whatever reason. He's on the road here, and he's got a 1.21 road ERA compared to 7.31 at home. I don't know what the deal is, but he sets up much better in this game, at least in the fact that he's pitching better right now. He's going out on the road, so he is, I would much rather fade Painter here than Luzardo. So, I would lean to the Dodgers if Painter was pitching. Maybe not with Luzardo pitching here. He's got well over 1 strikeout per inning, right around 1 hit per inning, and his walk rate is actually pretty low. Against the Dodgers is the big question, though. He actually has good numbers against them in 107 at-bats, 168 batting average allowed, 558 OPS, 28-6 strikeout walk ratio, so that changes things for sure. If it was Painter, I would definitely lean Dodgers money line, but now that it's not, I think an under makes a lot more sense given what we just saw there. I would lean under in this game with Luzardo against Sasaki. I guess you can make an argument for Philadelphia as well. Like Sasaki is probably still less trustworthy than Luzardo is, but I think he's more trustworthy than Painter, So this does change things. That might have me slightly leaning to Philly, but I think it would flip me to being on the under, I think, more than anything else here. It's at 8.5, so I think under makes sense. All right. And both bullpens are pretty decent, like I said. Yes. I got to throw some jokes in here, man. I got to do something about that because this is too dry of a show. All right, this show's taking way too long. Again, more than an hour and a half just for baseball. We got to talk about WNBA. I'm not going to have a WNBA play here. I think if you're going to make any WNBA play, I prefer this afternoon game to the other two. It's Seattle at Toronto. There's some angle here that I think we can kind of look at. Toronto's a 6.5-point favorite, which is ridiculous. I mean, they're an expansion team, or actually they're about 6 here. We don't see the percentages on this, but right away that looks crazy to me because I know Seattle's not good this year, but Toronto's an expansion team, dude. Like, should they really be favored by that much? 6? And these teams already played in Toronto. And yes, Toronto won by 13. This was early in the season. But what was the line in this game? Yeah, Toronto was 3.5. So have we seen enough throughout the season that Toronto should, a couple weeks later, be a 6-point favorite now against the same team in the same venue? I don't really think so. So I think the line is probably offering some value on Seattle now. You got to look at what happened in this game. They're like, okay, yeah, Toronto won by 13. Was there a reason for it? Well, I mean, Toronto hit 4 more threes than Seattle did. They took way more threes. Everything was actually kind of balanced in this game, but Seattle lost the turnover battle. The rebounds were pretty close. Toronto won by a little bit, but if you look at the stats here, it looks like it should have been a close game. Like, all the stats were fairly close, although Toronto did have 11 more field goal attempts in the game. But again, a lot of that was from Seattle losing the turnover battle. But to me, it looks like this game should have been a lot closer than it was. Seattle had a bad second half. So that also kind of has me leaning towards Seattle plus the points here, because I think this was a misleading 13-point win. It looks like it should have been Toronto probably deserved to win the game, but it looks like it should have been by a lot fewer than what they won by. Now, if we look at the spot, I think Toronto could be in a letdown maybe a little bit. They just won at Chicago. It was only a single-game road trip, though. But they pulled off an upset there, and if you dig into this game, Toronto shot out of their minds in this game, dude. Chicago had 9 more field goal attempts than they did in the game, but Toronto hit 56% from the field, 46% from 3. That's going to regress. I'm sorry. Even though Toronto did win the rebound battle by 10, so they actually did out-rebound Chicago. Maybe Chicago needs Angel Reese back. No, probably not. But yeah, to me, I mean, I think there's a big regression point here, though, with Toronto shooting. Like, I don't think they're going to shoot that well again here. So that's another thing that kind of indicates towards Seattle here. Seattle just lost at home to Washington, so maybe it's a good thing to just go out on the road. And the good thing is, they're familiar with this venue already, because like this expansion team might have an advantage. Like I talked about with Portland the other night, although that didn't work out, fading Portland with Connecticut playing there for the second time. But we should have had that correct. But same thing kind of applies here, right? Like Seattle might have struggled a little bit more going to Toronto because they were unfamiliar with that venue, right? Unfamiliar with, again, Toronto's not only a new team, but they're a Canadian team, so these teams are not used to going through customs either. You know what I mean? So I think that's giving Toronto a little bit of an extra home advantage early on here, because these teams are not used to doing that travel and going through customs and whatever. But now that Seattle's done that once, I think they're going to be better off coming into this game. So I like Seattle plus the points in this one. That's my favorite opinion of these WNBA games. I don't love it enough, but that would be the way I would go if I was going to play any of these games today. Chicago is definitely known for shooting. That's why they had to get rid of Angel Reese. Well, actually, Angel Reese does a lot of shooting. She just misses all the shots. That does seem kind of Chicago. That seems like she fits in Chicago. LA at Connecticut. This is an ugly game. Connecticut is a bad team, dude. And they're returning home from the road. And you know I talk about this. When a team has been on an extended road trip like Connecticut and they went out to the Pacific Coast, they've been on the road for like 2 weeks. That's bad. You return home. You got to get back to home life. It could be a bad spot here. Are they going to get up for LA? I don't know, man. I mean, LA has a winning record. I mean, if you're a 1-win Connecticut team, I guess you probably don't really overlook anybody. Although they do play Atlanta next, and Atlanta's one of the better teams in the league. Speaking of Angel Reese, Atlanta also has a lot of shooting. Anyway, it's a bad spot for Connecticut generally, though. I think the return home spot is just very hard to overcome in a lot of cases. And Connecticut, they just played in that Portland game. When was that? Like 2 days ago? Whatever it was, 3 days ago. So they don't have that much time here either. LA is also having to travel, though. Actually, no, sorry. They're already on the East Coast. My mistake. LA has a better travel spot here because they played yesterday, though, so they're on a back-to-back. But they're already in the Eastern time zone. They just won at Washington yesterday, which, I wasn't so sure about that. I think I did lean to Washington yesterday, but I thought both teams were in bad spots. LA had just gotten their revenge against Vegas, which was a pretty big win, but they beat Washington. Now, they're on a back-to-back, but I don't think that's that bad because they had 5 days off prior to yesterday's game, although they had to travel. But back-to-backs in the WNBA, I think they're pretty rare, but they're not really that bad because, again, usually the team's going to have a lot of rest before that first game. So it's not like the NBA where, oh, my God, this team's playing 5 games in 7 days now or whatever. Nope, that doesn't really happen, so I'm not as concerned by that here. So I think I'm going to lean LA here. I think it sets up a little bit better for them. The travel spot does. But, yeah, they did play yesterday. It's a little bit of a concern. I'd probably lay it with L.A. They are a favorite here, but they've already dropped from 6 to 3.5, though. So the initial money came in pounding Connecticut and driving that line way down. It could be a false move, though. It's kind of hard to read some of these markets, especially WNBA, because so few people are betting the WNBA that only professionals bet the WNBA. No recreational people bet the WNBA, basically. So it's all professional money. But then what you have to figure out is the professionals can move the line, and they can move the line a lot in the WNBA because there's no public action to balance it out. But was that a fake move? You know what I mean? Like the professionals know they can move the line. So might they say, hey, fuck it. I'm going to come in and nail this line down, and then I'm going to actually come in with my actual play on laying the points at a cheaper price. They do that sometimes with a setup. So you have to try to figure out was that a real move or not. But I kind of just go with my handicap as well. So I would lean towards laying it with LA, though, especially at that lower number there. Now that you get better value on it now, at least. Angel Reese. Angel Reese, that's worse of a name than Precious. At least Precious was kind of childlike, so it kind of makes sense. Angel Reese is definitely not an angel. She's not good looking, and actually, is she Christian? I don't know. Maybe she claims to be, but other than that, she probably isn't. Indiana at Portland is the last game. Indiana's a massive favorite in this game. And, I said last night, because Portland played last night, they have a good-looking record. They're above 500, so people might look at this and say, how is this Portland team who's above 500 getting double-digit points from a team that doesn't even have a very good record, right? Like, the public, if they're going to play this, is probably going to look at this and just take the points because they're not going to want to lay points like that. But I mentioned that last night. Portland played last night, and Atlanta was laying 9.5. And I said I thought that Atlanta was going to cover that, and they did. They won by 20. So this Portland team is not as good as their record looks. I know they beat the Liberty a couple of times, but other than that, there's not a whole lot going on here. Now, they did play Indiana on the road, and they lost by 17 in that game. But I don't know if there's that much of a takeaway here. Indiana's just the better team. The one big outlier was that Portland shot horribly from 3, so there is that. They only hit 3 threes. That and Indiana got to the line way more. So maybe there's some room for Portland to shoot better from 3. But Indiana was the better team in the game anyway. They out-rebounded them. They led the whole way. They were a 10.5-point favorite and covered that by a bit. But even if you take out those disparities, they still could have won that game by right around what the spread was. So I'm not going to put much weight into that. Now, what I will say, though, is that if Indiana was a 10.5-point favorite at home, being a 10.5-point favorite on the road does actually look too big, given that was the same line that they were favored by at home against Portland. That line does seem high for that reason. Portland did play last night, so they're on a back-to-back. But you know what I just said? That they did rest prior to that, though. Although, actually, not as much, though. Actually, I take that back, actually. They played on the 23rd, 25th, and 27th, so they have actually played a decent amount of games recently. So I take that back. So they're actually not that rested. But they got blown out at home yesterday. They might be in a bounce-back spot here. And Indiana, I believe, is coming in off a big game. Yeah, Indiana just played against Golden State the other day, and they lost a close game against a Golden State team that is solid this year. Golden State was a 2.5-point favorite there. And you can see the odds makers really respect Indiana and think they're better than Atlanta. So the odds makers also are telling you Golden State's a good team. And that was also a zigzag for Golden State because Indiana had just beaten them in Indiana the game before that. It was a big game, though. So Indiana, that was 2 days ago, and Indiana's coming off that. But Indiana is the more rested team because they hadn't played for 6 days prior to that. So you have to kind of weigh all of that. You have to take all of that into consideration. And I guess Indiana being more rested here and the fact that Portland's on a back-to-back, that is part of the reason why Indiana's favored by the same amount that they were in that other game. This game has to be kind of all over the place. Like, to me, it seems like the line's a little bit too high. I would generally want to look for Portland to bounce back after a bad home performance and Indiana coming off a bigger game. But Portland is obviously the way less rested team, so you have to kind of figure all of that in. And yeah, the public is most likely, if they look at this game, they're going to think this line is way too high to lay. So, like, what do we do with this game? I mean, obviously, I'm staying away from it, but yeah, I don't even know, man. My initial instinct was laying the points made more sense here. Maybe that is still the way to go, given that the market seems to kind of indicate on it and, indicate that way by just the fact that they put the line out this high, and the money has seemingly come in that way a little bit. And being on top of the rest advantage here, that might be enough. I don't know. So I don't know. I guess I would lean towards laying it, but I don't like that game much at all. I could see arguments for both sides. We have no hockey today. The Stanley Cup Finals, I think, start on Tuesday. So that leads us to the best bet in NBA here. I mean, you know what we're doing with this one, man. We're going to zigzag. We're going to lay the points with Oklahoma City, -3.5. This is the cheapest price that you've had on Oklahoma City at home in the entire playoffs. They were about 4.5 in the last game at home, and they won that game by 20-something. This is on NBC and Peacock. Oklahoma City, yeah, I know they lost the first game in the series at home, but they were coming off a long layoff after sweeping LA, so I think momentum was kind of stalled for them. Since then, they've won all the other home games in the series. They've won by 9, and they almost won that first game. It went into double overtime, even though they were in a bad spot. Game 2, they won by 9, and Game 5, they won by, it was by 13, not by 20-something. 13, but obviously they've won by more than this by quite a bit in both those games. So Oklahoma City, they've been way better at home. Of course, they've won all the other home games because they swept the other series. Oklahoma City, last couple of seasons, they've been very good at home. They're very good off of a loss as well. In the postseason so far, off of a loss were those 2 games I just mentioned, both games at home. Both of those games they won by 9 and by 13, like I just said. So they've been good off a loss as well. Same thing was the case last season. They played well off of a loss in the playoffs. And I think that we do have some regression points here to look at. I mean, they got embarrassed in this game at San Antonio in Game 6, dude. And Oklahoma City, over the last couple of seasons, has actually been bad in Game 6 road games. So that is something to consider here. Back at home in Game 7, they've been better. But look at what happened in this game. OKC had 6 more field goal attempts in the game, and they shot 37% compared to 47% from San Antonio. So I think there is going to be some regression here. Maybe San Antonio will shoot a little bit more poorly here, but Oklahoma City should shoot better than this. I know both defenses are good here. San Antonio's is definitely good, but there is definitely some room for Oklahoma City to shoot better here. They also only shot 25% from three-point range compared to 37% for San Antonio. So I think there might be some regression back to some sort of mean there as well. San Antonio made 5 more threes. So that was plus 15 right there. And they won the game by 27, which was pretty embarrassing. But 15 of the points are right there. Oh, yeah, and another 10 came from the free throw line because San Antonio also went to the free throw line 13 times more and hit 10 more free throws. So that was basically the whole game right there, was San Antonio getting more points from three-point range and getting more points from the free throw line. And I think those things could regress here, man. Usually these things tend to even out in the playoffs. Oklahoma City only got to the line 12 times in that game. That is highly unlikely that happens again. And yes, I know San Antonio did win the rebound battle by 10. But Oklahoma City has outside of getting absolutely crushed on the boards in game one, which was a game, by the way, that even though San Antonio won the rebound battle in game one by like 30 rebounds or something, OKC still could have won that game. So, that tells you something at least. And yeah, I just think that OKC is going to have the adjustments to make here, which is usually the case when you have a team that blows you out. Usually, if you blew that team out, you don't have anything to fix. You know what I mean? Whereas the other team usually shows up and makes the adjustments. We've seen Oklahoma City do that multiple times. This is a Game 7. It's like a Super Bowl. Oklahoma City has been here. They've done it before. They had to do it in the finals last year. They have more experience here. San Antonio is still a young team. San Antonio has not played in a Game 7 before, and certainly not in a conference finals either. So pressure time on the road. I think the experience edge has to go to Oklahoma City here. I think that's big as well. The historical trends support the home team in Game 7 winning, at least winning outright. And I think covering the spread most of the time, too. So the home team in Game 7 usually is a good look, although more recently it's been less good, at least against the spread. But this spread is not that high, dude. Because I considered multiple things. I was like, well, am I going to go with Oklahoma City over a team total again here? I decided not to do that because Game 7s tend to be low scoring. You know what I mean? Because it's Game 7. Usually you get a lot of focus on defense, intense defense. These two teams are both like in the top several defenses in all of the NBA. Although the Knicks are actually up there as well on the other side there. So we're going to have two good defenses in the finals too. But yeah, so I think it's going to be a defensive game. That just to talk about the total real quick, I guess, before I go back to this play here. I think, it's like the other Game 7s, though. Yes, there are a ton of trends towards Game 7s being low scoring because teams don't want to screw up. They play close to the vest. They play intense defense, even if they're tired. But the odds makers know this, and the lowest total, I think, in the series so far in the games in Oklahoma City has been 219.5, and now we're looking at 212.5. So the odds makers know this. They've over-adjusted the total, in my opinion, too low, so I think there's just no value left in playing the under. Although I did hear some professional bettors pointing out that they didn't really adjust the first half total that much lower. So if you want to go under here, a first half under makes some sense. And it makes even more sense because I think if there's going to be scoring happening, it might happen late in the game. If the game is close, you get fouling, whatever. So under in the first half does make some sense. I think I lean over full game, though. We have 82% of tickets, 84% of the cash on the over. Over, by the way, is correlated to Oklahoma City here. In this series, I believe every Oklahoma City win has gone over the total, and every San Antonio win has gone under the total, except for Game 1, but that game was under in regulation, and it only got over in second overtime, in double overtime. So it's been a strong correlation here in the series with San Antonio in the under, Oklahoma City in the over. So if you like Oklahoma City, that's another reason that you kind of would be leaning towards an over here. That plus the overreaction is real, dude. We've seen 4 Game 7s so far in the playoffs. 3 of them were in the first round, though, and 1 of them was in the second round. All 4 of those games went over the total. Even though, again, there is a tendency for those games to be lower scoring. It was because the odds makers know this now, and they've adjusted to such a degree that they've over-adjusted it, and every one of those games went over. In the first round, it was Orlando and Detroit went over, Cleveland, Toronto went over, Celtics, 76ers went over, and then in the second round, it was Cleveland, Detroit, right? That went over as well. So for those reasons, yes, I would lean over full game here. Even though under first half, I could see an argument for it. But we're concentrating on the side here. The money is coming in on OKC, dude. We got 56% of the tickets on San Antonio. The public loves Wemby. They love San Antonio. They're the new kind of flashier team. But Oklahoma City, they're the experienced team. They have more depth, and they get the job done. And I think late in a series like this, Game 7 especially, the depth matters, dude. And I know Oklahoma City is without Jalen Williams. That's a big loss. I know he's not coming back here. And A.J. Mitchell also got lost during the series. So that means McCain is going to have to step his ass up again here. But even without those guys, Oklahoma City still is running like a 9-man rotation out there, man. They're a very, very deep team. And again, because of that, because San Antonio heavily relies on their top like 4 or 5 guys, getting to a game 7 like this, that's going to tire San Antonio out more than it tires OKC out, because San Antonio's best players have played more minutes throughout this series, and that accumulates, you know what I mean? So that's another reason to like OKC here. 56% of tickets on San Antonio, 67% of the cash on the Thunder, so the money is hitting the Thunder here. It's a 3.5. You can find it at Reduced Juice. If you want to go money line, I would not disagree with that either. You can get the price down even further. Like, you can get the price down, or not have to lay an amount of points, I should say, on OKC if you want to go money line. I think you can find it at around minus 150 something out there. So that's not a horrible option to go money line on Oklahoma City as well, or instead of laying the points if you wanted to do it that way. But I think laying the points makes sense. Because, you know, I mean, you have to pay less of a price to make the bet. And every game that Oklahoma City has won, they've covered it. So, you know what I mean? It's not a huge spread. And like I said, Oklahoma City was like 6.5 in games 1 and 2. They were minus 6.5. Then they were minus 4.5, I think, when it went off in game 5, which they covered pretty easily. Now in game 7, they're down to 3.5. Well, why? Like, just because the injuries. But those guys didn't play in game 5 either. Williams and Mitchell, or I think one of them might have. Actually, I think Williams tried to come back in game 5, came off the bench or something, and only played like 10 minutes, something like that. So effectively, they both didn't play in that game. So I don't know. It's strange to me. But yeah, I like Oklahoma City here, man, for all those reasons. I think it sets up well. It's the zigzag spot. The regression seems to indicate you should get, less of a free throw disparity and less of a shooting disparity, all in the direction of San Antonio here. The historical trends favor the home team. I think there's value on this number based on the other numbers during the series. And yeah, I think that's about it. And the experience, I think, is a huge factor for OKC. So we're going to do it. Oklahoma City minus 3.5 is my play there. We're zigzagging. You don't like Wemby? I'm just annoyed by all the hype, basically. All right, that's going to do it. 2 hours. It's tough to do 2 hours every day, man, but let's get some wins, hopefully. We got, oh, shit. I forgot to put my banner up. How could I forget? All show the banner's been off, but we only went 1-1 yesterday. But still, 102, 46-5 run last 56 days is still pretty strong, really strong. But I'm hoping we can get back on a winning side here at least. Let's at least try to go 2-1 here. We have Toronto first 5 innings money line in baseball. That's the Blue Jays. We have first 5 under Anaheim, Tampa Bay in baseball. And then we're laying the points with the Thunder in Game 7. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe here to the YouTube channel, man. Let's boost this up. We're getting a slow trickle more. Charles pointed it out. We're getting close to, let's get to 500, man. Start getting monetization. Let's hit some milestones. We're on audio, Apple, Spotify. The audio numbers have been doing all right. They're chugging along on Spreaker as well. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out. Patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to support me that way. I know I have to get some of the Uke requests done. My voice is definitely not up to it right now, though. And some of it is because of talking on this show. Dude, I don't know how to, lower my voice more. I don't know. I need, a better audio setup behind me, a room that's less echoey or something. And then I should just, I don't know how I can do it. How can I just sit here and relax and just kind of talk like this? You know what I mean? I don't know how I can do it, but I got to try to do it. Loser Cast every Tuesday night, and the Giants G-Spot podcast. We'll be back at some point. I know I keep saying that, but yeah. And then next week, I'll do something with the Belmont Stakes, even though my horse picks have been awful. But the Belmont is going to have a lot of horses that ran in the Kentucky Derby that skipped the Preakness that are in the Belmont. So we can kind of handicap. You can kind of zigzag a little bit there and go against, or not jump on horses that maybe look too good, better than they were in the Derby, and go with horses that were kind of sneakily under the radar good in the Derby that nobody really notices because they didn't finish that well. That's kind of what you want to do, I think, in the Belmont. So that's what we're going to look at. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.